Hey everybody, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Welcome back out to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing our series in 380 ACP. Today we're going to be taking a look at a bullet from Cutting Edge Bullets. It's called their PhD. Should be a good time. Let's get shooting. We're going to be talking about a cartridge loaded by the folks over at Cutting Edge. Now, they actually make some really good ammunition, bullets that is, and I have bought them for my reloads. I have no relationship with Cutting Edge, so you think what you want. I'm just going off of my experience having loaded some of them and before in some of my reloads, and now I'm finding that they're making some ammunition, the full cartridge itself. This one is their PhD. I figure that's pretty cool for the philosophers to be reviewing the Philosopher. Well, it's actually a personal home defense load, PhD, but on the Philosopher channel, we can take a look at that. So what it's supposed to be doing is fracturing. If you take a look at this round, come on, you notice there are some deep cuts in this. Now it's probably a monometal, more like a solid copper. It might not be entirely solid, but something like that. And then the petals are supposed to break back pretty and break off as this goes into the medium and intended target. And then a big chunk of it, or another chunk of the bullet, is supposed to keep going through the medium. They actually even provide a gel test on the back of the box, which is kind of cool. So that's what we're hoping to see as the result with it today. But we're going to be trying it out of our Bodyguard 2.0 today, which is pretty short barrel. It's a 2.75 inch barrel. Now, oftentimes what we see is that manufacturers, they base their tests off of much longer barrels, and they get much higher velocities than on the box than what we actually get in practice. And what we see on the back of this box is that it's claiming the 75 grain bullet should be doing 973 feet per second, which that 973 feet per second seems like it should be doing, seems like it should be going pretty fast, but actually for 75 grain bullet, it's probably not going fast enough is my guess. And we'll see out of the 2.75 inch barrel, maybe it's not getting fast enough at all. And maybe we don't even get the fracturing that we're expecting to see. So we'll put that to the test ballistically. Again, I love the Bodyguard 2.0. This particular one, I have gotten it milled for an optic by Monsoon Tactical. Why? Because I thought that would be fun. I have another one that I carry an awful lot, and that one doesn't have an optic on it. So, you know, for whatever you want, different strokes for different folks. All right, now what are we going to do? We're going to talk about our test setup. So we have 2 layers of denim, 2 layers of t-shirt, then 2 inches of clear ballistic gelatin, then some medium density fiberboard, then a whole bunch more clear ballistic gel. I've done quite a few iterations. I have videos on organic gel. I have videos with this setup. I have videos with only clear ballistic gelatin. And what we like to do today is we like to do one shot into the clear ballistic gel with this setup, with all that stuff in front, layers of t-shirt, layers of denim. The medium density fiberboard would acts like a rib simulation or a bone simulation, but really is just putting a barrier in there. So we see as the bullet's going through if it hits some type of hard medium, is it going to start to tumble? Is it going to do weird stuff in your intended target and still perform the way you want it to perform? Now, I'm not saying this is bone. Someone asked me in the comments of, next time I see an attacker made up of medium density fiberboard, then I'll look at these tests. I'm like, what the freak? So at any rate, put those comments in if you like, and we'll all be amused, because I don't think you're as smart as you think you are. With that said, why don't we get to testing? Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. Here's an up close look at this. This projectile is fairly hollowed out, again, so that it's a lighter projectile than what you would have with lead. That way you can get the shape of a 380, but yet still fill up the space in the same way so it feeds reliably, but still use this lighter material. 75 grains isn't too light. We've seen lighter on the channel, but interesting to see. Let's go take a look to see how it performs. We have the PhD bullet from Cutting Edge Bullets. It's their personal home defense round, and it's in 380 ACP, 75 grain. We've got our full contraption set up with 2 layers of denim, 2 layers of t-shirt, 2 inches of clear ballistic gel, medium density fiberboard, and then more ballistic gel behind that. Let's see how this performs. Oh, I am going to start my camera. And we got 1284 on our chronograph, which is a lot more than I was expecting. Let's go down and see what it did. Okay, so this is a really interesting result and why I like using the medium density fiberboard. So what we got was we went in through the t-shirt and the denim, in through the first couple of inches of ballistic gelatin. And what we're seeing, not sure how well you can see that, is it goes in about an inch and then you see all that fragmenting start to happen in the first inch. Don't really like that, because in this case, let's say this actually was rib. This is what happened. So it almost got shotgunned. You can see the pellets going in here. The main projectile went through here and other pellets went to there. And then I have all those other pellets. They never made it through the rest or into the rest of the gel block. So in effect, the ribs, here's the not pellets, but the peels of the bullet coming back. That's where those fragments are. The rest didn't make it into our gel block at all. So I think that that's pretty curious. Now, the projectile itself, once it got in, looks like it did a pretty decent job. It went out to, let's get this, and remember we have to measure back to here. It got out to 11 inches, a little over 11 inches, bounced back just a tiny bit, a half inch. But again, we're looking for a foot of penetration on this. It has that medium density fiberboard, so maybe without that. Remember, ballistic gel is a simulation of a simulation. Organic gelatin mimics what would be in pig tissue, which mimics what would be in human tissue, and clear ballistic gel mimics organic gelatin. So at this point, we're stacking up tolerances in this, but still we got some decent penetration all the way out to that 11-inch mark. I would say that's not bad, especially for a 380 round, and it does look to be causing a fair bit of damage, and it's spiraling. It's not just tumbling. So why don't we just rip that out real quick, see what we got. And woohoo, it went flying. It has some tissue in it, or tissue, it's got some denim in it, but not a bad little projectile, not any wider. At this point, it's sort of running like a wad cutter because everything is peeled back, just a .355 projectile running through. So pretty interesting, but I've seen this with the Liberty Civil Defense, with the RIP ammo, with some of these other ammunitions that are meant to kind of fragment and grenade, having a grenading effect, that sometimes a barrier in here prevents those from really doing all the damage that you would hope. And I think that's the good point of having this medium density fiberboard is really taking a look at what that really is causing. So if this was someone's rib, it looks like the fragments would stop on the rib. This one would probably break through one, but that's kind of one of the issues is that we're testing with it. All right, so that's enough yapping. Let's take all this contraption out and shoot one just into the gel, because every now and then you have a naked attacker, so we want to see what that looks like. Scratch that. We don't want to see what a naked attacker looks like. We want to see what the bullet in the ballistic gel looks like, for clarity. All right, we have the 75 grain PhD round from Cutting Edge Bullets. Let's start this, and we have nothing on top of our ballistic gel. And just shoot this round into the ballistic gel. Huh. Right? Another one bites the dust. I have to reset this. Okay, well, we have the 75 grain PhD round. We've got nothing on top of our ballistic gel. Let me start the slow motion camera and we'll shoot one round into the ballistic gel. All right, looks like we captured that. And that time we got 10-20. I kind of think the previous one was a chronograph error. That seems more realistic to me. It didn't even feel, the previous one that got 1200 didn't feel like a super hot round at all. So I think the previous one was probably a messed up chronograph more than anyone. And I'm just using my traditional chronograph down here today. It's overcast and cloudy. There could be problems like that. So, but let's go down, check it out. All right, now this is what we were expecting more realistically with this round, is you got those fragments starting out here, and it's doing some really fantastic twisting and spinning inside of here, creating some really good wound tracks and pathing for 380 ACP. The round gets out to exactly the 1 foot mark. It gets actually to 12, little over 12 inches. So that's pretty good. Now, clear ballistic gel by itself, rounds tend to expand less and go a little bit further than they do in organic gelatin. So 12 is kind of, cutting it anyways, but I know some of you are going to comment about how good the FBI test and how bad it is and so on and so forth. But yeah, so what we have, the round comes in, explodes, and again, just like we saw before, it explodes at the 1 inch mark. So if this is happening, in the gut, this is doing nasty stuff in there. If this is happening with bone there, then all that stuff is going to get stopped. Is what we see is it just gets stopped by anything hard and won't do that extra damage, which is one of the intentions of having that. Otherwise, you just have a normal hollow point going. Now, I wish that Cutting Edge would do some other designs, and hopefully they will. I know what you guys think about this round. Why don't we go on to some of the other testing that I typically do, like do some more velocity measurements and just see how well it prints on paper. Okay, well, I have 5 rounds in here. I do have my Garmin 0C1, which is a radar type system, to be able to try and get some measurements of these projectiles. And we will see what's going on with this, but we already seem to have a little bit of an issue. Look at this spring coming out. Sometimes these rounds, yep, and this one did not go into battery. You can just tell right there, it's out of battery. Let me get it. See, it's just out of battery. And I can't press it forward. So let me try and get this round out. Yep, and it's kind of stuck. My guess is, and I've learned about this from many of you all, some rounds don't pass a Plunk test in this barrel, meaning they just don't fully go in and seat. They're a little bit long, or the shape of the bullet. We had that problem with the precision ammunition with both of my Bodyguard 2.0s, but let me get this fixed off camera and yeah. Okay, well, we've taken our gun apart and we have some rounds that I want to test with it. And so what we're going to do is something that we like to call the Plunk test. Now, this is where we just drop some of this ammunition in, Plunk, and then see how it's not easily coming out. And imagine putting that in when the slide comes into it with some force. It's going to get stuck in there. That's what's happening. Now let's compare that with a round from buffalo bore. Again, Plunk. Slides right out, no problem. And I can do that with other rounds from buffalo bore. Just fine. And plunk this in. Whoops, I missed. Plunk that in. And that one's fine. Like, we're getting some that seat fine. And we're getting some that don't. So those some that don't, let's pull out. Another one. That's not too bad. We'll put in the might fire round. That one won't fire. That one won't fire. Probably won't fire.
A few moments later.
Okay, we're back. Load one in. It's in battery. No, it's not. All right, well, maybe our theory didn't work so well. All right, at least that one came out. Let's try the next one. See if it goes into battery. No. I don't know. See, when I shoot it, oh, it fired, okay. And we're not quite in battery, but we got 986, so we got one reading. Yeah, we're not in battery. Okay, it came out though. Let's try another one. No, it's not going into battery when we're seating. Got it out though. See, these aren't as sticky as some of those other ones are. Yay, we got another shot. 10.05. So we're getting right around the velocities that they expected. With they expected 975, but look, I don't have my other Bodyguard to say if this is a problem with mine, but when I had the same issue before, it seemed to be consistent at least across two of my Bodyguards, which could be a problem. Yeah, that one's not. I should have done the Plunk test, because now this one's much harder to get out. And that one went in pretty good. One more shot. And 10-11. All right, well, let's just do, for the sake of our testing and not calling it, we're going to do our session summary. We had 3 shots. And we had a min of 986, a max of 1011, so not bad. Extreme spread of 25, standard deviation of 10, average kinetic energy. Sorry, there's a local fire. It's not an air raid siren. There's a local fire department, and this calls all the volunteers. This gun range is near a very small town in Pennsylvania, and so this tells all the local volunteer fire department guys, head in because there's a fire. You got to go out. Average kinetic energy of 166. So. All right, let's see if I can go figure out enough of these to shoot and see what it's doing on paper. Because again, while you might say, oh, this ammunition sucks, there's gonna be some of you that run it and or have been running it. It runs fine in your gun. Maybe you don't have a Bodyguard. Maybe you have some other gun. It runs just totally fine in your gun. I want to see, for testing purposes, how this performs on paper. Are we getting weird tumbling? Are we getting other stuff like that when we shoot it? We already know it doesn't really cycle very well in these guns, so we'll see where we go from there. Let's go down, shoot it at the target. All right, well, we are at 5 yards because this is like where we like to do our practical accuracy testing, and really it's not really testing accuracy. We're just trying to see if the bullets are going in sideways or tumbling, or does it have some reasonable chance of shooting the ammunition, or does it group like way off to the left or way off to the right? That's what we kind of want to know. In this gun, we're going to want to see how many more failures we're going to have with it. And not starting off good, because that one's not even in battery. All right, let's try another one. Yeah, push it into battery, see if that works. All right, we got one shot. I can't push the next one into battery. Huh.
A few moments later.
When the gun goes off, it is capable of being accurate, so let's take a look at it. All right, so there we are. We got 2 shots off, and that's where it is. I'm not shooting anymore because this is a pain in the butt. All right, well, let's wrap things up. Today we had the PhD, personal home defense rounds from Cutting Edge Bullets out tonight. And what we're finding is, yet again, this is the second bullet, I think it really is the shape of the bullet, that is loaded by a company. The first one was Precision Munitions. And I think that it's a problem, the way that this bullet is shaped and the way the chamber for the Bodyguard is designed. Now, I would suspect that other 380 guns will run this. I would just say that if I owned a Bodyguard, with only having tested it in one, I probably wouldn't buy this ammunition at all. I'd just skip it. In terms of the solid coppers, I think my still favorite is the cellular and below XRG bullet. It doesn't fragment, but it opens up very nicely and gets in pretty deep. But I'm just putting the data out there for people to test and see. I hope the Plunk test was useful to you, as useful for me as other people have explained it to me. All right, well, with that said, I hope everyone has a great week, and let's get to shooting.
From pistols to rifles, we'll take on the best. Reviewing each weapon, put them to the test. With revolvers and shotguns, we'll break it all down. The Second Amendment protects from the crown. Living for free.